The executive running Apple's entire Vision Pro operation just left to join OpenAI. And this isn't some mid-level engineer we are talking about. This is someone who had Apple's complete confidence to lead their entire spatial computing bet, one of the company's most ambitious projects. Now they are gone to the team building AI reasoning models at a company that started as ChatGPT and is racing to become the default voice of AI itself. Why does this matter? Because top executive moves are signals. They're a window into what the smartest people in tech actually think the future looks like. When someone walks away from Apple, literally one of the world's most valuable companies, to join a competitor, it means something. It's like watching the star player on a championship team suddenly jump to the rival. It doesn't just shuffle the roster, it changes what everyone thinks the game is actually about. So here's what we need to know. What does Apple lose when a key Vision Pro architect bails? Then there's the deeper question of what OpenAI's actually building that's worth this talent grab. And what does this move tell us about who's winning the AI race right now? Those are the stories we are breaking down here, because this decision wasn't made lightly. It's a direct signal about where the real competitive action is happening in 2026. Here's what we know about the person who just made this move. They've been at the forefront of Apple's Vision Pro project since the very beginning. This is someone who was brought in to lead the entire vision, no pun intended, for how Apple would compete in spatial computing. They weren't just an engineer, they were an architect, someone with the kind of track record that shows you can take a moonshot idea and actually turn it into a product that ships. Before Vision Pro, this executive had spent years building teams and shipping product at one of the world's most innovative companies. They have the kind of resume that gets linked in posts, multiple major releases under their belt, the kind of person who doesn't just attend executive meetings, they lead the room when the biggest decisions are being made. At Apple, they reported high in the organization. This wasn't someone buried 3 levels down in middle management. This was someone with direct influence over the Vision Pro roadmap, product decisions, the whole strategic direction. They had Apple's confidence completely. When you're leading a project that cost billions to develop and years to get to market, that kind of trust doesn't come easy. And now they are gone. They're not taking a quiet exit to some startup nobody's heard of. They're jumping directly to OpenAI, which is the most aggressive player in the AI space right now. That's not a lateral move, that's a statement. Okay, let's talk about Vision Pro. If you haven't paid close attention, this is Apple's bet on spatial computing, a very expensive headset that lets you see digital content overlaid on your real world. It's their answer to the metaverse question. Apple spent years engineering this. We are talking billions of dollars. They built custom chips, designed proprietary displays, created an entire ecosystem. When Vision Pro launched, the price tag was $3,500. Not exactly mass market, right? But the point wasn't immediate sales volume. It was proving Apple could do spatial computing, could create the next computing paradigm after phones and tablets. The executive we are talking about was central to making that vision real. They shaped what it could become. Every design decision, every feature priority, every moment where Apple had to compromise or double down, this person was in the room. They built the team that executed on one of the most complicated product launches in Apple's history. And here's what really matters. Spatial computing is incredibly hard. You need people who have shipped at scale before, who understand both hardware and software, who can make thousands of trade-off decisions and live with the consequences. You don't replace someone like that with a LinkedIn job posting. So when they leave, you lose more than one person. You lose institutional knowledge, team relationships, momentum. You lose someone who knows exactly why Vision Pro is the way it is. And that's a massive problem for Apple. This isn't the first time we've seen top talent jump between these companies. The AI industry is basically a game of executive musical chairs right now. OpenAI, Apple, Google, Meta, Anthropic, all competing for the same pool of world-class talent. And lately, OpenAI's been winning. Just look at the pattern. Over the past couple of years, researchers and executives have left big tech to join OpenAI. Why? Because OpenAI is moving faster on what matters, reasoning models, multimodal AI that works, real progress on IGI. That momentum attracts people who want to work on the biggest problems. But this Vision Pro executive move is different. This isn't a research scientist taking a better offer. This is a product leader, someone who shipped major products, someone who understands how to take ambitious ideas and make them real at scale. That's way harder to replace than a brilliant researcher. Compare that to Apple's position. Vision Pro matters to them, but it's also niche. Limited market, super high price, unclear killer app. Meanwhile, OpenAI is the default AI assistant for humanity. They're the company everyone's using now, the company everyone's watching. From a career perspective, that's incredibly attractive. You can be great at Apple or be part of something reshaping how everyone interacts with technology. That's the calculus this executive made. You can understand why. This isn't random. It's a calculated bet about where the future is happening. So what's the difference between what Vision Pro is trying to do and what OpenAI is building? Vision Pro is hardware first. It's about spatial computing, augmented reality, the next interface paradigm. It's bet your company stuff, but it's also super niche. $3,500. You need to be extremely committed to spatial computing to buy one. OpenAI's taking a different approach. They're building AI reasoning models that can solve complex problems. Multimodal AI that understands text, images, and video, systems that can think through problems step by step. They're not trying to be the next iPhone, they're trying to be the next brain, the tool everyone uses every single day. That's a fundamental philosophical difference. Apple is saying the future is spatial. You'll be wearing computers on your face. OpenAI is saying the future is intelligence. You'll be talking to machines that can reason and think. Here's what's interesting. These aren't mutually exclusive. A spatial computer could run OpenAI's reasoning models. Vision Pro could become way more powerful with better AI. But right now, in 2026, one of these bets feels like it's winning, and one feels like it's, well, not gaining traction the way Apple hoped. OpenAI's got momentum. They're moving fast, growing user base, shipping features people actually want. Vision Pro is incredible technology, but it's niche, and the killer app hasn't landed yet. That gap matters. It matters to talented people deciding where to bet their career. What does this move mean for both companies? For Apple, it's a warning sign. You don't lose a top executive without consequences. This person took institutional knowledge with them, plus relationships and ideas about Vision Pro's roadmap. That creates a void that's hard to fill quickly. Apple could promote from within, go on an aggressive hiring spree, or double down on spatial computing. But all of those take time. In the meantime, momentum slows. For OpenAI, this signals serious intent. They're not just building AI models in a lab. They're actively recruiting people who know how to ship products at scale. They're building a team to take groundbreaking technology and turn it into something billions actually use. That's the harder problem. That's what great companies do. This hire suggests OpenAI's thinking big about spatial AI, multimodal reasoning, the intersection of AR and reasoning. They're not content to be a research lab or a chatbot platform. They want to be the technology foundation for next-generation computing. And here's what matters. The market will watch this play out. If Vision Pro stalls without this executive, and if OpenAI ships something remarkable with them, it sends a message. It tells every talented person in tech, pick the team that's winning, pick momentum. That message reverberates. It could change how top talent allocates itself across the industry. So how should you think about executive moves in tech? What do they actually tell us? Well, when someone at the top decides to leave, it's almost always a bet on momentum. They are saying, I believe this company has the right direction, the right team, the right problem to solve. I'm putting my reputation on it. This Apple to OpenAI move is no exception. It's a bet that AI reasoning is a bigger opportunity than spatial computing. That software matters more than hardware right now. That distributed intelligence, the stuff OpenAI is building, is where the real leverage is. But here's what makes it interesting. It's not just the individual executive making a bet. It's what their departure signals to the broader market. Other talented people see this and ask, if that person thinks OpenAI is winning, should I also consider jumping? That creates a cascade. Momentum becomes self-fulfilling. Companies know this. That's why they fight hard to keep top talent. Pay more, give equity, offer stock options, create mission statements. But you can't pay someone enough if they believe they are on the losing side of history. That's what this move suggests about how the leadership sees the competitive landscape. So when you're tracking tech companies, trying to understand who's actually winning, watch the exits. Not every departure is significant. But when it's a top executive leaving to join a competitor, that's a signal. That's betting with their career. And in tech, those bets often turn out to be right. Here's what this all comes down to. An executive just left Apple for OpenAI. That's not routine. It's a signal. It's a real person with a real reputation making a real bet about where the future is. That kind of move reverberates. It affects hiring across the industry. It affects how we should think about these companies. Vision Pro might be incredible technology. It might be the future. But right now, right here in 2026, the momentum is with OpenAI. The talent is flowing to OpenAI. The smart money is betting on AI reasoning and multimodal models, not on spatial computing headsets. That's the story this executive departure tells. Now, here's what you should be thinking about going forward. Keep an eye on Vision Pro. Does Apple recover? Do they ship something that reinvigorates that product? Or does this mark the beginning of a slow fade? Watch OpenAI. Do they ship something amazing with this new executive? Do they consolidate their advantage? These aren't abstract business questions. They determine whose vision of the future actually comes true. They determine what technology shapes the next decade. They determine whether the smart people in tech were right to jump ship. And they determine what comes next in the AI arms race. So follow for daily AI news, because these stories matter. This is just the beginning of what's going to be a fascinating year in AI. Thanks for watching.